So we're here in our beginning of the afternoon of our Ango entering session. This feels like the beginning of something to me. The beginning of this session and this Ango period. Feels a rich entry. You know, we had 25 plus people entering Ango, and I know there's another good number in the Sangha whose intention is to practice intensely over the next 3 months. And I can feel that. You know, I hope you can too. The shared commitment to deepen in this practice. Like this Gatha just said, this Dharma is incomparably profound and infinitely subtle. And it truly is subtle, you know. It's at a level of intimacy that is just goes deeper than the level of conceptualization, the gross level of conceptualization that our mind attempts to operate at. You know, we're really working at a very subtle and sensitive and intimate level with respect to our body-mind and what's going on with our body-mind. So the words we use to talk about these subtle aspects of consciousness, subtle aspects of sensation and experience, never quite do justice to this subtlety. But we have to say something, and it can be helpful, you know, to orient our attention and to orient our understanding in a certain way that can help us to appreciate the subtlety of the Dharma within your own life, of course, not as an idea, but to see what's happening intimately with yourself. We could even say what is happening intimately as yourself, since to study Buddhism is to study the self, so that's what we're looking at here. The subtle ways in which the self appears to recreate itself moment by moment, and the distortions that this process can cause. So I appreciate your attention for the next 20 minutes or so. My talk today, I'd like to just introduce some initial thoughts and understandings about the bardo, the bardos of everyday life. This is the theme that I've chosen for our Ango period this year. And it's a rich subject, so this will just be something in the way of some initial notes on this topic and how we might work with it. You know. How many of you are familiar with the term bardo? Okay, so about half. Yeah, and I see some hands online as well. Yeah, thank you. So the term comes from Tibetan Buddhism, and it refers formally to the in-between realm between incarnations. So you could say between this life, after the death of this life, and then before the reincarnation in a new body. That's the formal term. And I've got Trungpa Rinpoche's book on the Bardos of Everyday Life, which is called Transcending Wisdom. I've got it on my Kindle. I wasn't able to get it in hardcover yet. But according to the wisdom that was developed when the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which is the Bardo Thodol, when that was composed, you know, and explored and then composed, certain kind of operation of the bardo, you could say certain laws, the way the bardo operates and the way consciousness operates in the bardo, were quite specifically documented in detail in the Tibetan Buddhist teachings. But to be honest, that application has never been that interesting to me. What happens when it happens will happen. And our Zen approach, is to not even really think about or worry about, what happens after death, but to focus more on what is happening now in terms of life and death. How is the ego being constructed, maintained in this moment? What happens in response to the essential discontinuities that come in when the illusion of our ego comes up against the reality of the non-fixity of the ego. These distortions always arise within ourselves. Right? So that's the ground of practice. That's the ground of practice for Zen. And there's deep teachings here around working with bardo states, understood to be in between states of our waking life, or I should say of our life, of our alive life as we understand it to be. Right? So that's kind of the ground for our work, our Zen work in the bardo. So I'll say a little bit more. Here's Trungpa talking about bardo in this bigger sense. Bardo is happening all the time. Bardo is that sudden glimpse of experience which is constantly developing. We try to hold on to it, and the moment we try to hold on to it, it leaves us because of the very fact that we are trying to hold on to it. We're trying to give birth to it. You see something happen and you would like to give birth to it. You would like to start properly in terms of giving birth. But once you begin to prepare this birth, you realize you can't give birth anymore. You lost your child already by trying officially to adopt it. That is the kind of bardo experience which happens in everyday life. It is operating in terms of space as well as in terms of ego. He's so poetic, and the guy was such a blazing genius that his metaphorical, expression is just incredible. And it can be really baffling. But my understanding of what he's presenting here is that when we grasp at experience, okay, that's the giving birth to it. We grasp at experience, and right in that process, we've actually gotten in the way of that experience actually unfolding and being a living part of our life. We've created a separation between us as the experiencer and then the experience as something that we have or that we get or that we want to get. And right in there, we're trying to adopt the child that we actually is our birthright. It's like I want to adopt my own life. My life is out there somewhere, and I want to bring it in instead of really giving birth to our true self. So the way that we do this constantly is the terrain of the bardo. See, when we're singularly within ourselves, you could say, there's no bardo. But it's when the split arises that there's some sort of before and after, or here or there, or living or dead. that now we have something that we're working with, that we're in relationship with. So a fruitful way to understand these bardos of everyday life is in the context of the 6 realms of existence. Some of you may know the 6 realms as it's understood in Buddhism, so I'll just go through them. So there's the 3 upper realms, which are the gods or the devas, the jealous gods or the asuras, and then the human realm. And then the 3 lower realms are the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the hell realm. We understand these in Zen and in many other Buddhist perspectives as, you could call them psycho-emotional states instead of realms, or that's what we mean by realms. Okay. You know, there's a certain understanding that says you're actually incarnated into one of these realms, so they're kind of literal. You know, incarnated as an animal, and then you go through that lifetime and you get reincarnated into another realm for a lifetime there. But we're not looking at it that way. We're looking at it as the psycho-emotional states that we go through all the time. Okay. So the heaven realm is the blissful realm. It's unattached. It's pleasure. It's filled with pleasure. It's filled with openness. But within that realm, there can be the experience of a God having the experience of a God. So you could say a self, right? And when that separation opens up, which it always does, always is, then we actually can almost get a little bored with that blissful state. It's really interesting how Trungpa talks about these realms. He talks about us moving down through them. And I think like a natural understanding is like evolutionary, right? It's like we were in the lower realms, and then we, I don't know, do good things or do good spiritual practice, and then we evolve higher and higher. That's what it's about. And he says that happens too. But he starts talking about it more, which I found this really fascinating. That it's like, oh yeah, we're all up here in the heaven realm, and then we fall down. And I'll talk a little bit about this falling, and then we fall down, and then we can go right from hell up to heaven. So it goes that way, and it goes the other way, from heaven to hell, and then we evolve back up, and then we go. And then what do we have here? We have a whirlpool. The word samsara means whirlpool. Okay. So now keep in your mind, heaven's no better than hell. Okay. It's more pleasurable than hell for sure. But from the standpoint of our Zen practice, it's not. So we have these God experiences, and it's very pleasurable, and we're free, and we're open, bliss. And then, you know, it gets a little boring. We want a little bit more something. We want a little bit more, I don't know, juice, density even. And so we fall into this realm of the jealous gods, the asuras, who start comparing their state with another person's state. Because remember, there is separation between self and self, between God and God. So now it's like, oh, what about that one? And what about that one? And what about those gods up there? Well, and right as soon as you start doing that, you've now created this emotional attachment to your states. So you've fallen down a state. And now you, having forgotten that you were a god, ever a god, you're looking at the gods and you're saying, oh boy, I want to be like them. And then what happens? Well, you're jealous of these others, states, beings, and then you start to really have persistent desires for some other states and some other beings. So now you've entered in the realm of passion and desire. And that's the human realm. Now we're in the realm of passion and desire, and we just keep desiring and we keep pursuing and we keep chasing, and it just seems endless and endless. And then it starts to become just more self-centered. It just becomes, I'm just going to focus on my needs. And that's the animal realm. A certain kind of survival quality, a certain kind of dullness. There isn't necessarily a consciousness of other beings and really protecting, and a higher consciousness of being, there could be part of being a pack, you could say, and there's certainly a parental, feeling for children, but hey, let's face it, animals can abandon their young, they can kill their young, there's nothing like the kind of deeper compassion that we can have as humans, right? So it's become much more kind of self-centered and survivalist, right? Okay, and then it gets even more so, and we fall into the hungry ghost realm as it just gets more, I'm just going to focus on what I need to the extent it's all about that, and you can never get enough, never get enough, never get enough, and then you just get mad and angry and pissed at everybody, and now you're in the hell realm and you're just full of rage and separation, and nothing is going to be good ever again. All 6 of these states sound familiar to some extent? Yeah, okay. All right. So, practicing. These are all bardos, okay? They're all bardos because all of this is moving. It's all moving. So the image that Trungpa has for the bardo is the island in the middle of the river. The island in the middle of the river. The river is the realm, okay? The heaven realm is one type of river. It has a certain kind of speed to it and quality to it. I envision that one as somewhat placid and clear. And each of them have their own qualities, but the bardo is actually the ground of consciousness within which the realm unfolds. Right? So the way I think of it is like this: you see that island in the middle of the river. Well, that the land mass of that island is the same as the riverbed, and then the same as both shores. It's the same ground, isn't it? It just appears to be isolated within the midst of whatever your experience is. Okay, so how do we practice with these bardo states? That's our material and our practice for this Ango period. Let's say a few things about that. Well, the key is to be in the state, to experience what you're experiencing. whether it is painful, hellacious, hungry, grasping, selfish, angry, confused, bored, desirous. To be that completely. As soon as you separate yourself from the experience, judge it, try to get more of it, try to have less of it, you're creating fixity where it doesn't exist. You're limiting your unconsciousness. It's subtle, the ways that we separate ourselves from our own experience. It is subtle. Our zazen practice gives us the opportunity to just look into and feel the subtle energetic shifts through which we keep ourselves separated from our experience. And so it's so rich. Yeah. Trungpa says, these experiences of the six realms, gods, jealous gods, human beings, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell, are space. They're different versions of space. It seems intense and solid, but in actual fact, it isn't at all. They are different aspects of space. That's the exciting or interesting part. It is complete open space without any colors or any particularly solid way of relating. So there are really 6 types of consciousness. And then he says it's almost like they should be called 6 types of unconsciousness. It's the ego operating at an unconscious level, from one unconscious level to another unconscious level. So Trungpa was asked a few questions, and he responded. He was asked, can you be in more than one type of world at a time, at the same time? He said, with momentum, the worlds always change, but it seems that there is one particular governing factor. I like that a lot. It's like you kind of are in one primarily, but then there's momentum, as we talked about. Usually goes in one direction or another. When you're in one of these worlds, can you remember another one? What do you think? I was interested in his answer to this question. He said, well, you have the instinct of the other one. That's why you can move from one experience to another experience. By your own will, not necessarily by your own will, but you sense that you know something. For instance, dogs occasionally forget that they are dogs. They almost think they're human beings taking part in human society. You know, when I'm angry and I'm just in it, you know, but in it without a whole lot of higher level consciousness around it, it's remarkable how dark, how unconscious I can be of my, you know, higher self, right? Okay. I mean, I can get into fiery arguments. Yes, with Myoku. They're the best. With your partner, definitely. And then I have enough hopefully, enough consciousness just to go, your lid is flipped. You think you've got the overview here. You really think you've got this, and you don't. You're flipped. And then 5-10 minutes hopefully, and then I'm like, holy shit, that was temporary insanity. I was really seeing things way off. So this really rings true. It's like we just lose consciousness. We go dark about these other states, but there is that knowingness, that something remembered. I wonder if dogs really do forget their dogs. Yeah. Okay, I want to say one more thing. Okay. Okay, so this is just really helpful, the way he talks about this. He was asked, when you talk about transmuting the 6 realms of samsara into the 6 realms of the awakened state, that the 6 worlds are to be avoided or worked through into something else. Is that a good way to think about it? And he said, I don't think replacing them with something else would help. That doesn't seem to be the point. This is Trungpa. The point is that within the realm of intensity, there is the absence of intensity as well. This applies to all 6 realms. Otherwise, intensity couldn't exist, couldn't happen, couldn't operate. Intensity must develop in some kind of space, some kind of environment. That basic environment is the transcendental aspect, okay? Every one of these has this space. It is a space, and it's permeated by space that doesn't have the intensity or the charge of that particular realm. So there's no sense in leaving the world of hell behind. Oh, this is a question. So there's no sense in leaving the world of hell behind or transmuting it into something which excludes hell. No, correct. Because then you go through the realms again and again. If you reject any realm or try to transmute it, you're just going to keep going on this wheel, up or down. You see, you start from the world of heaven, come down to hell, get tired of it, and go back up to heaven, and you come down again and again, or the other way around. Does it make any sense to look for a way out? It's more like a way in rather than a way out. Were you ever in the hell world yourself? Have you yourself ever experienced the hell world? Definitely, yes. What do? I try to remain in the hell world. What is the basic ground that allows one to enter completely into that state and yet be completely out of that state at the same time? The point seems to be that the hell realm, or whatever realm may be, is like the river in the bardo experience. Out of that is the island. So the bardo experience is the entrance to the common ground. And just a little more. The experience is realizing that the turbulent quality of whatever realm you're in purely happens on the surface, so to speak. So you are not rushing to try to solve the problem of turbulence, but you're diving in fearlessly. Complete trust in confusion, so to speak. Seeing the confused quality as the truth of its own reality. Once you begin to develop the confidence and fearless understanding of confusion as being true confusion, then it is no longer threatening. That is the ground. You begin to develop space. where hope and fear cease to exist. Okay. So maybe this has given some evocations of what it's like to work with bardos. Yeah. Yeah, there's, I think, a lot of richness that we can explore. To be present, you know, with the intensity of our condition, whatever it may be. Remember, shikantaza means only active sitting. It's a very intense practice. Zen is a very intense practice. Shikantaza, koan, even your breath practice. You develop a great intensity of samadhi. So with this intensity of samadhi, you can meet the intensity of your own experience, right at the root. To be one with your experience, to be singular in your experience at this level of intensity. We practice like this.